we've got a league table, not the Premier League table as it is right now, but the Premier League table as it potentially would be, Dale, if VAR did not exist this season. So explain a little bit more, and who are the main beneficiaries of this if VAR wasn't around this season, and who are the ones that are glad that VAR is here?
Yeah, so the way we work it is we take each match, and if a match has had a VAR decision within it, let's say, for instance, a penalty has been awarded, then we take the match at that point. We look at the XG, we look at who was on top, the form of the two teams involved, and we then play the match from that point and recalculate the results. Now, sometimes the result will change, sometimes it won't, but we then take the final results from those matches, put them back into the league table and recreate the league table to see how it pans out. Now, there isn't a great deal of change in with certain teams. Now, one thing that has happened is Liverpool and Manchester City have flipped positions. So Liverpool are now top of the table because Liverpool have got a point back, and Manchester City actually lose a point after the VAR decisions are taken out. The biggest actual beneficiaries without VAR in Newcastle, they have climbed five points more and 4 positions into the top half of the table. Now, when you consider that Newcastle were in the relegation zone not long ago, to consider that they would be in the top half without VAR is quite a change. And the other one that is a real beneficiary without VAR is Everton. They get 4 points back, and they claim they are now well clear of the relegation zone. Now, if we want to look at a couple of decisions which really changed results in our table, let's take Liverpool against Burnley. Liverpool were 2-0 up against Burnley when they had a goal disallowed for Sadio Mane for a handball in the build-up. Now, that would have put Liverpool 3 up in the time, when the game in reality went on to draw 2-2. Now, our algorithm makes that a 4-0 win to Liverpool rather than being a 2-2. That gives Liverpool an extra 2 points. Another game that was really affected by the removal of VAR was Arsenal versus Manchester City. Arsenal were 1-0 up against Manchester City when they got a VAR penalty for the Bernardo Silva Granit Xhaka incident, and Manchester City went on to win the game 2-1. Now, with the way we work it out, the position of the game at the time, the relative form, we have it that Arsenal actually go on to win that game 1-0 without the VAR intervention, which changed the whole course of the game and how the two teams were playing. So that's just 2 examples in big matches for big teams and how the VAR decision really changed the way it was going.
Stevie, is the Premier League better with or without VAR?
Absolutely 100% better with it. You know, there's nothing worse as a player on the field seeing an injustice and then you lose the game because of it. You know, whether it's a bad refereeing decision or in particular a bad call from a linesman. You know, I've been in positions where I've scored a couple of goals, nothing wrong with them whatsoever, but some linesman in particular has just gambled and stuck his flag up. Now, nobody surely with any common sense would think that's correct. And the fact that we have VAR, and yes, it's not perfect, but certainly when it comes to decisions as far as offside's concerned, it is absolutely fantastic. So listen, I think it's been a huge success, and I think the game is far better with it.
Dale, how do we make it better so that your weekends aren't taken up by as much what tweets am I going to put out tomorrow on Monday than they are right now with the interpretation and the application of the video assistant referee system in the English Premier League?
Well, I think one of the things that people thought when VAR arrived was that it would end all controversy, it would end all discussion, and everything would be straight down the line, when what is actually done is created the opposite, whereby not only are the controversial incidents now really analysed, all the borderline ones that we wouldn't normally have discussed, really, they really get analysed as well. And I think the only way that VAR gets better in the long term is via education from the governing bodies in terms of explaining why a decision is made, putting videos out. I know MLS does this already on a weekly basis, but perhaps it's a bit later than it needs to be. And I think that if fans understand why a decision's been made, while there will always be mistakes in every league, no matter what you're doing, but it's got to improve on that front. But I think if you're educating and you're explaining why a decision's been made, then that will improve things. And of course, the ultimate of that is for his fans being able to hear the discussion between the referee and the VAR. And then if that happens, people will probably be more on board with the decisions if they can hear what they're saying to each other.
I don't believe that's ever going to happen. I don't see how the referees would open themselves up, because I think particularly in our country, it would be they would just, in my opinion, get slaughtered by everybody. But it would be interesting to see how they come to some of the decisions, because it's not always straightforward. And as we know, if you watch our show, you know, we'll have 4 analysts, and we'll be split down the middle of whether a decision was the right one or the wrong one. So it's not quite as easy as we all sort of make it out. You know, we all go, well, how you can watch it so many times, you can slow it down. How can you get this wrong? The truth is, it's not easy. I think it's very easy to criticise the referees. There have been situations where you do scratch your head and wonder, but generally the referees have been getting, I would guess, about 90% correct, which again is better for the game. But I don't think we'll ever hear them talking. I would love to, but I tell you what, I'm a big fan of it, got to say.
One of the other things, Dale, that we struggled with was what title you actually should have for your Monday morning Twitter musings. How about the VAR-SAR? And if you were the VAR-SAR and you could make one improvement to the way that VAR is applied in the English Premier League, what would that be?
So I think at the moment the issue we have is the high bar, which means that we have a very high threshold for when the VAR will intervene in certain decisions. And that means that you remove some of the subjectivity of the VAR himself. He's trying to find a reason to back up the referee on a certain decision. We've seen that on some incidents. For instance, a good example was the Rodri handball against Everton, which could have given Everton a point in the last minute. And that was a decision whereby the VAR, if he looks at a certain angle for that handball incident, can see that it probably looks like it may just have hit on the sleeve and therefore not handball. But there was another angle which clearly showed it was handball. But if you have a high bar whereby you're looking to find evidence to support the referee's decision, then you can use that angle which shows it wasn't a handball. Now, if you lower that bar slightly and give the VAR the chance to make his own subjective decision while still leaving the main decision with the referee, then he would probably say, no, I think that's a handball. Now, if the problem in the Premier League is every decision at the monitor is being changed, whereas in some other leagues...
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
I am sick of all this patter that these referees come out with, this high bar and low bar nonsense. And obvious, clear and obvious. How's about we get rid of all that garbage and just say, let's get the right decision? Look, if you're the VAR guy and you think this is possible, never mind clear and obvious. If you think it's possibly a penalty, you stop the game and you ask the referee to have a look at it. That's got nothing to do with patter or jargon or any of this other nonsense. And this high bar and low bar, I mean, seriously, what an absolute lot of garbage. If something's wrong that has led to a goal, or if something's wrong when it should have been a penalty like the Rodri one, then at the end of the day, it should be the referee, 1,000%, the referee should have the final word every single time. And if the guy in the VAR is not sure, then just say, go and have a look, and then you make your mind up. And we get rid of all this patter. It does my brain in that, really.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.